Signs of North Korea preparing to demolish roads connected to the south have been spotted, leading the South Korean military to raise its security posture. South Korea's tech exports in September shot up by 24% year-on-year to over $22 billion, boosted by strong chip demands. China mobilizes its army, navy, air, and rocket forces for drills to surround Taiwan, following recent remarks on independence by Taipei. It's October 14th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We start with North Korea yet again raising tensions. Signs indicate that Pyongyang is preparing to demolish land links between the two Koreas, which could happen as early as today. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung has the latest.
North Korea appears to be getting ready to blow up roads along the Gyeonggi and Donghae railway lines connecting the two Koreas. During Monday's briefing, the Joint Chiefs of Staff confirmed as such.
They have installed barriers on the roads, and activities behind those barriers are being identified. Preparatory work is underway to blow them up. I believe it could happen as soon as today.
In response to the regime's increasing threats, South Korean military has reportedly strengthened surveillance and its readiness posture, though the JCS did not confirm further details. The reclusive state is already said to have launched a project last week to cut off roads and railways. But such activities have been reported after the General Staff of the North Korean People's Army delivered an Operation Preparatory Directive to artillery combined forces near the border and units assigned important firepower missions to be ready for full-scale shooting by Saturday at 8 p.m. The regime's urge for such readiness comes as Pyongyang had claimed on Friday night that Seoul sent unmanned aerial vehicles carrying propaganda leaflets to its capital on October 3rd, 9th, and 10th. South Korea first denied sending drones, but later held an ambiguous stance. Kim Yo-jong, the sister of the regime's leader, warned on Sunday that Seoul would face a horrible disaster if South Korean drones are flown over the North's capital again. Saying the North isn't concerned about who the main force is behind the recent drone incident, Kim added that it would take strong retaliatory action if drones carrying anti-regime leaflets infiltrate the regime's territory again. The South's defense ministry released a response, warning the reclusive state on Sunday that it will see the end of the regime if it causes any harm to its people. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell has a scheduled visit to Seoul on Wednesday, and is set to hold a vice ministerial meeting with South Korean and Japanese counterparts regarding North Korea's ongoing provocations. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
North Korea continues ratcheting up tensions and renews threats targeting the south, this time accusing Seoul of sending unmanned aerial vehicles into its airspace over Pyongyang. Our correspondent Kim Jong-sil explains the regime's intention behind and what might come next.
This isn't the first time North Korea has heightened tensions on the peninsula for its own purposes, the Unification Ministry spokesperson said on Monday.
North Korea has routinely created crises in inter-Korean relations whenever it suits its needs. A recent similar case occurred in June 2020 when it blew up the Inter-Korean Liaison Office. Another incident took place in 2015 when it escalated tensions following a landmine provocation.
The spokesperson reiterated that the South Korean government remains fully prepared with all necessary military measures in place. While Seoul has neither confirmed nor denied the North's allegations about UAVs flying over Pyongyang, experts suggest this ambiguity serves a strategic purpose.
The stance that South Korean government is taking is called strategic ambiguity. And this is not to reveal capability of intelligence gathering and also not to reveal our own intention and our own analysis that could lead to our conclusion. And also pressure for the North Korea to reveal its own intention accordingly.
Professor Kim also noted that Pyongyang's threats may be more rhetorical than actionable, but urged caution. Adding to this, Professor Lee Mul-chul of Gyeongnam University warned against undermining the risk, citing the North Korean Defense Ministry's declaration to shoot down any South Korean UAVs should they enter its airspace again. He emphasized that diplomatic efforts are crucial to preventing an escalation into full-scale war.
The North Korean Defense Ministry has declared that they will shoot down any South Korean UAVs that enter their space. Such actions could escalate the situation further. Considering diplomatic channels could significantly reduce military tensions at this point, North Korea's level of provocation, its intensity, and method will likely depend on how government chooses to respond.
With both sides on high alert, Seoul is carefully monitoring the situation. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
Defense delegates from South Korea, Australia, Japan, and New Zealand, also known as the Indo-Pacific Four, are scheduled to sit down on the margins of the NATO defense ministerial meeting in Brussels later this week. According to a number of media outlets here, ways to promote partnership with NATO members will be on the agenda of this inaugural gathering of the IP4 nations. This gathering reportedly comes at the request of Australia. Vice Defense Minister Kim Sun-ho will attend the gathering. Elsewhere, Israeli tanks have reportedly forced their way into a peacekeeping base in southern Lebanon. Israel's prime minister called on U.S. troops to leave the region, but they refused to do so. Choi Soo-hyung has the latest.
The Israeli military claimed it found a tunnel linked to a Hezbollah weapons cache and a secret base near the border, which could have been used to blow up a wall adjacent to a United Nations peacekeeper base. This followed a UN statement on Sunday that said Israeli tanks had burst into one of its peacekeeper bases in southern Lebanon. The UN interim force there said 2 Israeli tanks destroyed the main gate of the base and forced their way into it. UNIFIL added that after the tanks left, shells exploded some 100 meters away, releasing smoke that sickened a number of UN personnel. However, Israel says Hezbollah had fired anti-tank missiles at Israeli troops and the tanks that had been helping evacuate casualties under fire before backing into the UNIFIL post unintentionally. The Israeli military's international spokesperson stressed that tanks were trying to get out of harm's way, adding that the maneuver could not be considered storming a base. Following the incident, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called on the UN to immediately remove its peacekeeping force from the region. Directing his statement to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, the Israeli leader said Hezbollah was using the international troops as human shields. He added that despite the Israeli Defense Forces' continued calls for withdrawal, UNIFIL has refused to leave. Meanwhile, a 5th UN peacekeeper was shot and wounded in southern Lebanon on Saturday, though the source of the attack is unknown. The injury comes after 2 Indonesian peacekeepers were injured, falling from an observation tower after Israeli tanks fired at it on Thursday, while 2 Sri Lankan soldiers were also injured on Friday. In response, 40 countries that have deployed their troops to UNIFIL issued a joint statement on Saturday, strongly condemning the Israeli attack on the peacekeeping force. The joint statement stressed that the role of the peacekeepers was vital in light of the heightened tensions in the region, condemning the recent series of attacks by Israel. It added that such acts must be stopped immediately and be properly investigated. South Korea is among the 40 countries that have sent troops to Lebanon. Meanwhile, more than 60 Israelis were injured in a drone attack conducted by Hezbollah in north-central Israel on Sunday, marking one of the bloodiest attacks since last October. This comes as the Iran-backed militant group said it had launched a swarm of attack drones on an Israeli infantry camp. The militants say the attack was in response to Thursday's Israeli strikes in Lebanon that killed 22 people and injured 117 others. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
China held a large-scale military drill surrounding Taiwan, mobilizing its planes, ships, and rocket forces in response to recent remarks about independence by Taipei. Pei Yun-ji reports.
This image of a map aired on Chinese state media shows 6 large blocks surrounding Taiwan. indicating the locations where the military drills are being held. The Chinese military said Monday that it has organized its Army, Navy, Air Force, and Rocket Force troops to conduct the Joint SWORD 2024B drills in the Taiwan Strait and north, south, and east of the island. Without saying when the exercises would end, it added that the drills will act as a stern warning to the separatist acts of Taiwan independence forces. Taiwan's defense ministry said it detected 25 Chinese aircraft, as well as a total of 7 Chinese warships near the island on Monday morning.
This action of China did not comply with the international regulation that requires one to make an early announcement before a drill. And threatening another country with military power also contradicts the United Nations Charter that emphasizes peaceful settlement of disputes.
The latest military drills are widely seen as an apparent protest against Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te's speech last week, saying that China has no right to represent Taiwan. While emphasizing his determination to defend Taiwan's sovereignty, he said his government is willing to work with Beijing to contribute to international goals, such as achieving global peace.
On this land, democracy and freedom are growing and thriving. The People's Republic of China has no right to represent Taiwan.
Lai, who took office in May, has been rejecting the Chinese government's claims over the island. China, which claims self-governed Taiwan as part of its territory, last held drills surrounding the island in May. It also held massive military exercises around Taiwan in 2022, after then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made a brief visit. 배은지, Arirang News.
Korea's exports of ICT products soared in September, driven by chip sales overseas to rake in over $22 billion. Our correspondent Moon Hye-ryun has more.
Strong semiconductor exports due to the AI boom once again led South Korea's tech shipments overseas. Data from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy showed that ICT exports in September rose by 24% compared to the same month the year before, adding up to $22.36 billion. This is the second highest amount for a month's worth of ICT exports on record and marks the 11th consecutive month that the country's tech exports recorded a year-on-year increase. The ministry attributed this to a rise in demand for chips in the artificial intelligence sector. The total value of semiconductor exports last month recorded an all-time high, coming in at more than $13.6 billion, once again recording growth in the double digits. This is showcased by exports of memory chips, including high-bandwidth memory semiconductors, which show significant growth of more than 60% year-on-year. As for other tech exports, computers and computer accessories surged by more than double year-on-year, while mobile phone shipments climbed by more than 25% on the back of the release of the foldable Galaxy Z series from Samsung Electronics in July, which continued its popularity into September. However, exports of displays and telecommunication equipment saw a decline. By country, tech exports to China, South Korea's main destination for ICT shipments, accounting for more than 41% of the total, continue to grow for the 11th month in a row. Shipments to the United States also rose by nearly 40% year-on-year, particularly for computer storage devices such as SSDs, which jumped by more than 250%. Meanwhile, ICT imports came to around $12.5 billion, leaving the ICT trade balance in the black once more. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
The number of female employees in the country has exceeded 10 million for the first time this year. According to Statistics Korea on Monday, there was a monthly average of 10.15 million female salary workers from January until August. That's approximately 46% of the nation's paid workforce. There was also a record 1.7 million self-employed female workers during the same period, as more women are participating in the labor force. The Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences has been awarded to economists Daron Acemoglu, Simon Johnson, and James Robinson for studies of how institutions are formed and affect a country's prosperity. The announcement was made on Monday in Stockholm. The chair of the Economics Prize Committee said that thanks to the economists' groundbreaking research, we now have a much deeper understanding of why countries fail or succeed. This marks the end of the Nobel Prizes awarded this year. On the cultural front, J-Hope will shortly become the second of the 7 BTS members to complete his 18-month mandatory military service. His agency Big Hit Music announced on Monday that J-Hope will be discharged from the Army on Thursday, October 17th. It added that there will be no special events that day, asking fans to refrain from visiting the site for safety reasons. Jin was the first member to reunite with the band's fandom Army in June. Fans will have to wait until at least June 2025 to see all members discharged and BTS back together again. The transition to clean energy is taking place in small but tangible steps at a camping program over in Korea's southern resort island of Jeju. Our Park Go-nu has the story.
A pleasant eco-friendly camping adventure utilizing renewable energy. This is available on South Korea's largest island, Jeju, by using its plentiful natural resources, including wind power. As part of the net zero target of 2035, Jeju held its first RE100 camping event last week at the Dongbok Bukchon wind farm, sourcing renewable electricity for cooking and lighting the site, among others.
With renewable energy generated from the wind power at the site, you can charge your own phone just like me. Now I'm ready for more eco-friendly experiences. By riding this electric bicycle charged with renewable energy, you can enjoy the beautiful nature of Jeju while breathing in the fresh air.
A total of 100 campers signed up on a first-come, first-served basis enjoyed themselves during the one-night stay.
I've always been interested in recycling, so participating in this was meaningful. I rode an electric bike for the first time and it was fun. I'm looking forward to the barbecue, especially as you can't miss out on eating when camping.
Pork barbecued using electricity generated from wind power, along with farm produce from Jeju including carrots, was served to the campers for dinner. And as the camping was held at a site filled with abundant natural scenery, the campers were able to engage with nature as well. While trekking Gotjawar Forest, a kind of volcanic ecosystem in Jeju, campers had a chance to listen carefully to the sounds of nature with headsets and a small recorder.
I felt really comfortable as I was absorbed in the sounds of nature. It was fun to experience these activities with campers interested in environmental issues. I would like to keep coming here.
An official from the Jeju Tourism Organization is confident that the experience will continue to be popular.
Considering the environment and energy transition is a global trend, various eco-friendly events and content are being made. That's why our renewable energy camping is more unique.
He also said Jeju will be planning many more of these eco-friendly camping programs to bring more tourists to the region down the road. Park Go-nu, Arirang News, Jeju.
It is time now to take a look at what's been happening in the world of sports. Joining us in the studio is our sports editor, Paul Need. Hello, Paul.
Hello there.
Let's first start with football and the South Korean national team back in action tomorrow night.
Yes, facing Iraq at home. It's the last World Cup qualifier of this October international break. The first was played on Thursday, beating Jordan away 2-0. Thanks to goals from Lee Jae-sung and Oh Hyun-gyu for his first for the national team. The game on Tuesday night, though, is at Yongin Mida Stadium and not Seoul World Cup Stadium, as is normally the case for World Cup qualifiers. The fixture was moved due to the current state of the playing surface in Seoul, with lots having been said about the home of FC Seoul and the national team, including by Son Heung-min and Jesse Lingard. Iraq, though, they sit level on 7 points with Korea in Group B, meaning a win for either team would give them a clear lead.
It was an important win on Thursday, but it came at a cost of two players picking up injuries, unfortunately.
Yes, you're right. Ji-sung and Hwang Yi-chan were both taken off injured. Hwang went off early in the first half with an ankle issue. Came on in his place, but was then replaced himself 6 minutes into the second half by Bae Jun-ho due to a knee injury. Bae later got the assist for Oh Hyun-gu to make it 2-0. Two players have been called up instead. Lee Sung-woo is in for a first call-up in 5 years. He admitted to the media on Monday that because it was so last minute, he could only get a standing ticket for the KTX train up to Seoul from Jeonju. His Jeonbuk teammate Min Son-min has also been called up. Son is of course out injured, but posted on Instagram on Sunday to say that he is back soon.
And staying with football, K-League returns this Friday with the final round. Yes,
that's right. The league table in K-League 1 is split into two, Final A and Final B. In Final A, Ulsan HD, Gimcheon Sangmu, Gangwon FC, Pohang Steelers, FC Seoul and Suwon FC will play each other once more and compete for the championship and to earn AFC Champions League qualification. Likewise, the 6 teams in Final B will play each other once more, and no one is safe from relegation, including the higher-ranked Gwangju FC and Jeju United. The bottom 4 of Incheon United, Daejeon Hana Citizen, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors and Daegu FC are separated by just 6 points. One team will go down automatically and 2 more will have to go through the promotion relegation playoffs, including potentially 9-time champions Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors.
Now let's talk about baseball. We're getting closer to the KBO League Korean series.
Yes, we are indeed. The playoffs got underway on Sunday. The Samsung Lions beat the LG Twins 10-4 in what was the first postseason meeting between these two old rivals in 22 years. The Twins had beaten KT Wiz to make it this far, but now have work to do to get back into the series. Now, Game 2 was supposed to begin tonight at 6:30, but has been called off due to the rain. The winners of this week's series will face the Kia Tigers in the Korean series. The Tigers won the regular season championship and earned a bye through to the Korean series.
All right, thanks for the info, Paul. See you next week.
Thank you. See you.
Today and tomorrow, it will rain mainly in the Chungcheongdo provinces and the southern regions. By tomorrow, there will be 20 to 80 millimeters of rain in Gyeongsang-Namdo province, 10 to 60 on Jeju Island and in Jeollanam-do province, and 5 to 40 in Chungcheongdo, Jeollabuk-do, and Gyeongsangbuk-do provinces. In the Seoul metropolitan area and Gangwon-do province, it will rain lightly or sporadically. By tomorrow, the eastern part of the South Sea and the southern part of Jeju Island could be windy and the waves could be as high as 2.5 meters. Those in this area should pay special attention to coastal safety accidents. Tomorrow, Seoul and Daejeon, Daegu will start off at 17 degrees Celsius, Gwangju 19 degrees. Highs will be topping out at 24 in Seoul and Daejeon, Gyeongju and Jeju 26 degrees. There's rain forecast in eastern part of Gangwon-do province on Wednesday due to the influence of the easterly winds, and the temperature is expected to drop after rain across the country in the second half of the week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.